Hello everyone, I hope you've had a chance to watch some of the videos on how to do the drawings or you already know how to do that, and so we can assume that, but we want to go through now the next stage of our design process, which is Criterion B, where we're exploring our ideas and trying to communicate those with our clients, because in the end the reason for doing any drawings is to show them to a client, to ask them, do you want this to be made? And so we want to be able to draw with skill and communicate our ideas with skill. And so in this section we're really going to focus on two sections of Criterion B. We can talk about specifications and justifying and fully critically justifying our selection of designs later, but for the moment we will focus on this idea of developing a feasible range of designs. And it's nice to be able to use an appropriate range of mediums as well, which is including some CAD drawings, and we'll talk about that as we come through, and the idea that they have to be correctly interpreted by others, and that means that they have to follow international conventions, the dimensions have to be correct and all this, so we can't just let drawings come through that are ordinary and that don't communicate. The other thing is we want to develop accurate and detailed drawings that can go to the factory, that can go to someone who can make this. So whichever design that we choose, it needs to be drawn accurately and ready to go into manufacture. So the whole idea of doing all these designs is that we want to introduce the design ideas. What are the important features? What are the materials we might be using? What are the strong points of each design? What are the themes in each design, and how they meet the specifications? Because we've got to try and convince someone, our clients, that this should be made. And so in industry, these are choices that you've got to make, and so you've got to communicate well. Alright, so initially we want you to come up with 5 or 6 just rough initial sketches. You can see here there's not a lot of detail, but there is a little bit of detail. There's a few annotations on here. There's basic overall sizes. You can also see a theme here because the clients obviously asked for something to do with Batman, but it may not be a theme. It may be that you're presenting the client with different options. So at this stage then you could go back to the client, you could say, alright, which one of these do you really like, and then we'll develop that further for you, and that would be a good idea. Another option, here's some more options with chairs. I've just chosen the chair one here to show you a bit less detail on this one, so it's not quite as good an example, but we've got thickness in some of the drawings. This one here, there's it looks a bit not feasible, how does it join together, etc., but this is just initial ideas. So the client might go, oh, I love round ones, so then that's a good thing. We'll go with round ones. And we can develop that further. So after we've got those 5 or 6 initial ideas down, we need to choose 3 or 4 now, and we need to try and then develop them. So choose our best ones and try and develop them a bit more detail. And one example for how we can develop ideas is to get some annotations on our drawings. So here you can see an example of some annotation. You can see the idea here, we've almost got an exploded isometric open and inline for assembly too, but we're starting to pull the drawing apart now to draw individual parts of our drawing so that we can actually get real depth of understanding into how this thing goes together. Because if you don't pull things apart and draw them separately like this, then you can't understand it, and you won't be able to justify to the marker or to the client, who is really the person that you should be justifying it to, that this can actually work. And so details of joints, discussion about different aspects, and get more details into a drawing. Okay, so at different stages too, we're going to have to assess our drawings against design specifications. So I'm going to run through some examples now of different drawings and just show you some examples of designs and how it's run against specifications. So over here now, we've got one of the designs. We're going to develop it a little bit further, and we're going to develop that through this idea of rapid prototyping. So we make up some of these joints and we prove that they can work. Okay, and then we actually start then to get more detail back in our drawing because we've got some detail and some understanding about how it works. We're just working with simple cardboard here and different types of joints, and then there's some annotations about that. Another example, this chair here, see, doesn't quite show you how well this sort of piece here is going to go. There's going to be 3 of them. Where does it tell us that there's 3 of them? They're going to go 1, 2, 3. Seems like they might fall out. So what's going on here? We're starting to worry about feasibility. clarity. This drawing gives us more detail. It says there should be some base pieces going around, but I don't see that detail in here. I do see that over here though, so now I'm starting to think, oh, okay, so there's some idea of how is that leg going to be secured? And then here's the idea of the specifications on the side. This is just a ranking system on this one. How's it going to rank, against the specifications? Sometimes you might put comments in here. This is for the initial 3 or 4 designs, so you don't really need to go much further than that here. Here's another way. Here's some drawings. There's some pull apart, as I said. There's a specification ranking. There's some introduction to the thing, what materials are being used, what are the strong points in the design. Another chair, got some drawing ratios in here so we know what scale we're working at. We've got dimensions. It's not necessarily all to international standards with dimensions, etc. However, we are being able to understand this drawing, and it's starting to reach some sort of feasible sort of appearance. So moving on, we want to just show you a couple of tips now about getting these drawings made well. Again, getting your submission up to standard. So let's have a look at this. There's some 6 initial ideas on here. It's got some good annotation. There's some nice ideas on here. But why would you hand it in like this, people? You've got to think you need to crop this and scan it in one go, and then make that scan so it's a bit more readable, or type it. Okay, so this could be in 6 different cropped images. It could be laid out nicely on your screen. It could have some some design about it. People, we're in design after all. Okay, here's another example. We've got thickness on this drawing. We've got clear dimensions. We've got dimensions. It's running again. We've got specifications. Sorry, it's been, this little car's been run against the specification, the mousetrap buggy, I should say. And we've got a top view and front view. It's starting to meet some drawing standards as well. And we've titled it design number 3, and there's just one design on this page, so we can clearly see what's happening. Another example, we've got materials, pros and cons here. We've got joints being used. We've got some sort of stand, a media stand, but we can clearly see that there's been thought put into this as to how it's to go together. There's thickness, and so we're starting to get the idea that this person is actually designing some things here that we can use. Now, I've gone ahead and used a lot of examples from kids in my classes over the years, so I need you to respect that in some way and not be copying these and or distributing these anywhere else. Alright, so here's another one. This is some sort of stand. I'm not sure what this was for, shoes maybe. We've got pros and cons. We've got joints, materials, tools that we might need. Then we've got the specifications here, the reason why we're justifying things here. And what's going on, will this come up to budget? Okay, these bits of dowel, broomstick handle, I can buy that for this much, so therefore I can meet my budget, etc. So you need to justify and work on all these things. Another example here, some sort of pegboard, and we've got the specifications, we've got the drawing. Once again, the scan could be done a little bit better, and we could get the annotations a little bit more clearly here, but then we've got some more information, and this is really nice. We got some feedback about this design from someone. It'd be nice to get that from the client too. We're actually designing for someone, and sometimes in schools we forget that we're actually doing 3 options of designs because we want to take those to a client, and the client wants to say, yeah, I like this one better. And as a designer, you need to be aware of, you need to produce that for them. Alright, I spoke earlier about CAD. It's nice if you can show some skills to your advantage in your drawing. So if you can get some CAD drawings in there, whether they be Fusion or AutoCAD or Inkscape or any of your other programs, I'd probably recommend you don't use Inkscape. I'll be sued for that now. But I'd use one of the CAD packages, and you can get some drawings in that look good. And when you do this, maybe crop them so that you will turn the screen to be white in AutoCAD, whatever program you're using, so you can crop it and you can bring it in and make it look a bit better. Here's a chair that came out of my class last term. It was a beauty. It was really nicely designed. It was very comfortable to sit on, and it came out nicely out of the 600 too, because there was a lot of straight pieces that could be put close together there, and away we go. So I hope this has just helped you in some way to get a bit of an idea on where you need to go now, the standard that you need to be at with your design Criterion B, whether that be with a chair project or some other product that you're designing. It's all the same. We just need to get some decent drawings done, assess things against specifications, explain why we are doing making the decisions we are, and try to get as much detail in there as we can, so that the client and so that this stuff can be made. Okay, because that's what we want. We don't want to make stuff though. We want to make genius products. Okay, hope you've enjoyed this and you've learned something. All the best.